Hey, what's up? It's John with Superfly, BeSuperfly.com. Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial here on how to set this kind of lookup for a client. We just did a site in development that has this kind of a similar deal for their portfolio section here. And so I wanted to show how that would be done in Divi. Okay, so with that, and you'll notice when I hover, I get my background color kind of fades in there. And then the images are parallax as well, which adds another level. We'll go over that at the end of the video. That adds a little more, a little trickier to get that to work that way. But we'll first make it work with static and then add the code for that. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and just delete out that section. And then I'm also going to clear out the CSS that I had written in here. And we'll start over. There we go. We'll just start from scratch. Make sure we're on the same. There we go. So here's our new page. We're going to add that section right in between here. All right, so I'm just going to start going away here. A regular section, 3 columns is great. And I'm going to go ahead and just first I'm going to set up my class names here. So actually, I'm actually going to leave the section alone. Actually, we'll just go in and start adding the text first. So here's our text module, and right off the bat, I'm going to give this a class of image grid link. There we go. And then for the content, we're just going to say item title, item link. And my item title, I'm going to use an H3 for that. And item link, we're just going to link that up like so. And then I'm going to hop over to the design area under text, and we're going to go ahead and center this. And then I'm going to make my text color light. And I'm going to go into my link and make that text color light as well. Great. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to go to I'm going to fold this up, go to my H3 settings, and let's choose, I'm a big fan of Railway, of course. And I'm going to say like 36, and we'll make it bold, maybe even maybe just ultra bold. Ultra bold. I'll go down a little bit to like 30. And then I'm going to get this letter spacing out there. Probably like 8. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go to my link and do the same kind of thing. So make sure my link is selected there. And we'll use Railway for that. And I'm just going to give it some letter spacing. Like 6. That looks pretty good to me. I might bump. No, I won't keep it 14. That looks good to me. And then lastly, what I'm going to do, a couple more things. I'm going to go ahead and pick a background image, image here for my deal here. And I'm going to use, I'll go back down here and use, well, I'll just redo the same thing. I'll use this water first. Oh, and I got to move my video so I can say use image. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go into design here, and I'm going to give it some padding. I might just do 50 pixels all around to start with. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to duplicate this a couple times. Okay, and so right off the bat, I'm actually going to go into this row settings, and I'm going to make it, I think I'm going to make this row full width. There we go. I like that. That gives me a little more control here. And now I actually want to go in and I want to redo some of this padding, make it maybe a little bigger. Well, not quite 150, but maybe maybe 100 on top and bottom, and yeah, it looks pretty nice. Let's do that. And I'm just going to go ahead and right click on that, copy the style, and then just paste that style here so I can. And actually, while I'm in this row module, I might as well just say equalize the column heights. That's usually good. And I'm going to use a custom gutter width. This is too far apart from me, so I'm going to bring it into about right there. That actually looks really nice. Save it, and then go over and preview and see what we have so far. All right, so we have our link there that works. The rest of the image doesn't. Oh, whoops! I need to clear out this integration code too. Sorry, let me clear that out and save that. So that way our page will work. Okay, so now we have the page set up. A few things on my hover, nothing happens. The title here, this is the only thing that actually links. Nothing else does. This space is a little big. So we're going to write some CSS to start adding to here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the CSS. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and swap these. Well, actually, I'm going to leave the background images the same, because if we change any settings here, when we go to copy and paste the styles, it'll bring back this background image. So we're going to leave those the same for right now. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and open up the custom CSS area. And usually you would just put this in your theme options, or maybe your style sheet for your child theme. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up the inspect element here. And you'll remember that, let me pull this guy up. Here's our text module. It has that image grid link class that we added to all three of these. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll go ahead and hop into our CSS editor, and we'll image grid link. So we're targeting that text module, and we're going to use the before pseudo class, because what we want to do is we want to put a color overlay over this, and then on hover we want to be able to increase the opacity of that color layer. And so you could probably do it with the gradient background option. There's an option to, like, there's a color option, but that, I don't know if that goes over the text or what. No, it goes underneath the image. And so let me go ahead and clear that out. And then there is a gradient option, and if you choose a gradient, you can say put the gradient above the background image, but it sets it as a background image, and you can't really animate background images. So that's the issue with that. I'm going to save this and reload it, because it's remembering old code that I had in there. So it's making the hovers work in the preview here. So I'm going to go ahead and reload that. Okay, great. Now it doesn't work. That's great. Okay, so back to our CSS. So we're going to go ahead and use the before. In order to use the before, we're going to have to set some content, to empty content that we want. Display block this guy. And then our height is going to be 100% of the area it has available, which is the text block that we're working with. Width will do 100%. And then I don't know why, but lately I've been all about trying to have my CSS in alphabetical order. It's probably an OCD thing. But height, position, we're going to do absolute. And I actually have this saved as a top 0, left 0. I have it saved as a snippet, so I rarely ever type this out anymore. Yeah, with the 100%. And then back here, we're going to say background color, RGBA, and then we're going to say 50, 50, 50, which is a gray, and we'll bring it at 0.3. And then we want to transition it all. This will give us our. Well, I'll hold off on that. Let me just go ahead and bring this guy up to the top here, so it's in alphabetical order. Great. So I'm going to copy this, and let's start with open up our CSS area here. Okay, come on, Divi. Man, that was weird. Custom CSS, let's paste that in and save. And it might be hard to tell with this dark image that I picked, but we'll try to see if we can't tell. Refresh. Wait, yep, so you can see right there, it added that gray. And so then naturally the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we're going to grab basically all this code here and say, hey, when I hover over the image grid link, change our background color to, I'm going to make it, we'll say 2.7. And I'm going to make it a little darker too. Now I'm using CodePen, but the cool thing is if you use something like brackets here, you could right click on that and say quick edit and then select your opacity and stuff that way. So this is called brackets, brackets.io. It's free, but I'm trying to use CodePen more. So, and I don't know if they have a, yeah, they don't have a quick color picker like that. So let's paste in this now to our CSS and see what we get. I'm going to drag this down. I wonder if I'll remember if I did that. Okay, so now when I hover over it, you see that it immediately goes dark. And we want the fade dark, and so that's where our transition text is going to come in. And you saw that there, if I typed all with 3 L's, it automatically goes that in. I use Text Expander for that. In fact, if I do overlay with 3 Y's, it gives me the same code up here a couple different ways that I can use. So that's why I normally don't type this stuff out. But so now with this new code in here, it's going to start fading it in. And you'll have the same code and the JSON layout file in the video description. But even if this page is ever not here anymore, you can go download. You can just follow this along and write the code. So there we go. So now you can see it's fading it in. So this is getting a lot better. And at this point, you have some decisions to make. We'll see what it looks like on mobile. You can decide to keep it this way with the gaps between it, or make it full width like our original example, where there's no gutter. And then if you like using static background images, this will work. But if you want to use a parallax image, this won't work. So first we'll tackle mobile real quick this way. So it gets down to our 980 breakpoint, and it goes to there, which I'm actually like that height. That's a good height. But let's say on mobile, you want it skinnier. So we'll say on mobile, we'll go into our image here, and we'll go to the padding section. And so on desktop, we like that. And in fact, maybe 50 might be much here. Let's do 25 on the edges. That way it has more room to breathe. And then for tablet, we like that. That looked fine. Smartphone, it looks a little boxy, so maybe we'll say 50 pixels on the top and bottom. So it's a little thinner. That's great. We'll say yes to that, and we'll copy the style and paste. This is when, if we would have changed these background images, it would have overwrite that or overwrote that or whatever you say with this original one. So now that we have those in there and we are liking where those are sitting, we can change those images now, and they won't be overwritten when we copy and paste styles. All right, so here we go. We go down to mobile, and they get thinner. That's great. Okay, so now that that's done, I can go in and swap out a couple of these background images to make this look a little bit more interesting. So let's do, I can't remember what I did before. Oh, I know I did that one for the middle one. And then for this one, I think I did another one down here. Oh, it was a sand dune-y one. I believe it was this one, actually. Yeah. Yep. Great. So this might be it. This might be where you say, "Yep, I'm done. That looks cool." But there's still a couple issues. A couple issues would be number one, when I hover over this and click, I have to click on this item link for it to to actually go. And the user might be confused by hovering over it and trying to click. So there's some code that we'll fix for that. And then I actually think that this is too far away, so I'm actually going to remove the padding on the H3. So I'm going to go in here really quick and just say image grid link H3 padding bottom 0. Okay, and save that. And then I have this other code, snippet of code here. And let me see if I can remember the div expand the link. Here we go. Okay, so here's the code that I have, this little bit of JavaScript code. What this does is basically it goes into your div ID or your class. It finds the A tag and then fills that A tag to the entire area, so the whole area can be clickable. So in this example, we would say we take out this div ID and we would say image grid link. Go into that div, find the A link, and make it take up the whole space. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that into the head area in the integration. Theme options integration. Make sure the header area is enabled. I'm going to paste that right in there and click save. And refresh the page here. So our items links got a little closer, and then if you watch up here, when I click out here now, it's going to try to go to the URL, the hashtag. So that's working, but the user could still be confused because when I hover over this, only when I hover over the item link does my cursor turn into the pointer. And so we're going to make it turn to the pointer when they hover over here. So to make that happen, so we already got that code in there, so we don't need that anymore. To make that happen, we're just going to go up here, image grid link, and if someone hovers over that, we're going to take the cursor and turn it into a pointer. So now you can see it working back here. It turns into a pointer now right away. So that's great. And so at this point, you might be say, hey, I'm cool with this. This is great. I'm done. But I'm going to go on a couple more steps here. I want to make it full width, and I want to be able to use parallax images. Because right now, if I change this to parallax, it's going to break, and I'll explain why in a second. But first, I'll go in, and I'll just go into this row and say, hey, make this thing full width, and get rid of the gutter row altogether. That's great. And then normally, you know, there's leftover padding here, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that too. On my row, custom padding top 0 and 0 on the bottom. And then you could do the same if you wanted for the section. I usually do just to zero it out. So we'll say 0 and 0 on that. But it's up to you. Save that. So here we go. Now we have our full width. Looks really good, I think. And then it looks really nice on tablet and mobile. So on tablet, it looks like that. And then down here on mobile, we got it all skinny. I think that looks really good. So now let's move on to the final part of this tutorial, making this work with parallax background images. So you'll see if I go in here and I change this background image to use parallax, and true parallax is fine, and we save it, it's going to ruin our life. It's going to break for that middle section, and I'll tell you why if it ever loads. There we go. So the hover link still works, but the whole color overlay thing isn't working at all. And the reason is, if you inspect one of these original ones, you see here's our text module with the image grid link, and somewhere over here it's going to have that background image in it. And then here is our, if I open it, here's our before class with that dark, overlay. I could make it whatever color I wanted to here, and it's working, but it's not affecting this middle one. And the reason why is, if you go and you right click on the inspect the middle one, you see up here our text, and here's our image grid link, but there's no background image in it, because in order to do parallax, Divi has to put that parallax image in its own kind of span area, and so that separates it from the text module a little bit, and so it's a separate deal, and so it's not, our code isn't targeting that. So we're going to make a couple adjustments to our code to target that. And so what I found is, on this first one, we need to add image grid link .etParallaxBG, which that etParallaxBG is the name of the class name of the span, etParallaxBG. So we add that there, and then the other spot we have to add it is in the right. Let me go ahead and copy it here. Is for the hover here. We want to say, when someone hovers over the image grid link, go into the parallax before and change the background color. So I'm going to copy this, and I believe this is going to do it. So a little extra step there if you want to do, and I would suggest saving this code snippet, because this code snippet right here covers both cases of, if you don't use parallax image, it'll work that. If you do use a parallax image, it'll use this side, and it'll still work. So we will refresh this page. And so far so good, and I can scroll now. So whether I decide to use parallax or not, it looks great. But I'm partial to parallax, so let's go. Let's make them parallax, why not? And I think that's going to conclude this tutorial. Yeah, there we go. It's all parallax now. Looks great on desktop. Looks good there. Looks good on tablet. And looks really great on, probably better on mobile, which is what you want. So yeah, that is how you pull off this effect. The easiest way to pull off an effect like this is to head to our BeSuperfly.com shop, and down on our plugins section we have this Image Intense plugin, this guy. And on the demo it has a ton of these with effects already set up. So all these deals that you can easily add, you can adjust them. There's some zooming things. My favorite one is that one's pretty cool. But my favorite's called Seattle. Here it is, this one. I think that one's really subtle and nice. So that'd be the easiest way to do it. But if you're looking for something just simple like this, very Squarespace looking, you can follow this tutorial and do that. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Stay fly.